state facts. Believe only half of what you see and none of what you hear, unless I said it, because I state facts. Welcome to the live. I appreciate everybody from tapping in. First and foremost, I appreciate, all the love and the support that we've been getting to the channel. I appreciate everybody following the Facebook, the Instagram, also following us on X, also on the YouTube channel. And I appreciate everything. I appreciate it 100%. Y'all already know. And it feels good to get back to doing what I like to do. So today I want to talk about dealing with grief. Today marks 5 years of the passing of my brother. And I lost my brother to, he was a victim of homicide. If anybody ever lost a loved one, know what it feel like to have to deal with somebody passing that was a part of your life, that was dear to you, that you really love. My brother made 42 today, left behind 9 children and many siblings like myself. He was the big brother. He was the oldest one, and then I came after him. Ever since kids, I used to try to mimic everything he did. We used to tell people we was twins. He was very protective of me and protective of his family. At all costs, he always was. A lot of people have a lot of good stories about him. A lot of people may have some things about him that's not too good or don't sit well with too many people. But for most part of it, my brother was the type of person that if he met you today, that he will be 100% with you all the way throughout. He was a good guy. He was bad in school, had a lot of run-ins with people, used to fight a lot. I used to jump in his fights, and I miss him daily. So to start talking about this topic of dealing with grief, I haven't been the same since I lost my loved one. Mentally, I have been emotionally, I haven't been emotionally all the way where I need to be, where I used to be. I feel like ever since the loss of my brother, I haven't been sleeping well. I find myself depressed a lot if I see pictures of him, and it's been 5 years. So if I happen to see a picture of him or anything like that, it kind of sent me in a little meltdown, because this was somebody that I felt like that I would never lose. He was in my life my whole life, and I feel like he would have been in my life. I thought he would be in my life the whole time. So part of dealing with grief that I learned is dealing with anger and frustrations. When you first lose someone, your first thoughts be mainly to want to do something about it, to want to harm other people. Everybody want to point the finger at somebody else, when death strikes and when they knock on your door and you lose them. That's be the first thing we do. We come to anger first. And that lead to depression. Once we get into the anger stage, we start hearing all the stories, right? So what I did was, to move along in the conversation. So what I did was when I lost my brother to homicide, what I did was I got on social media. I prayed first. I made sure I prayed and really bargained with myself and bargained with my higher power. And after I bargained with myself and my higher power, the first thing I did was I took to social media. And what I said was there will be no retaliation. I called for peace after my brother was killed in New Orleans. I called for peace. A lot of people didn't understand that. A lot of people didn't want to understand that. A lot of people caused for more violence. And this was 5 years ago, but these things still linger on. That's why I choose to talk about them when dealing with grief, because we all go through it. It's a denial stage, it's an anger stage, it's a bargaining stage, it's a depression stage, and then it comes an acceptance stage where you have to accept it, right? But on my journey to be able to back up the statement I made when calling for peace on my brother's death, it was harder to actually live that. It was harder to actually look in the face of some of our friends and family who didn't feel the same way I felt about it. And I felt like that was one of the heaviest decisions I ever made in my life when I called for peace on my brother. I felt like that was one of the heaviest decisions I made by myself without consulting with anybody or anything, thinking that'll help me deal with my grief down the line, but I never experienced grief in that matter. So once I called for peace, and I had to sometimes explain to some people that I felt like nobody else needed to lose their life,
Ladies
because
and
it goes
gentlemen,
back to what certain people would like to happen. They want to see the demise of all young black men. They want to see us kill each other up. They want to see us hate each other. They want to see us steal from each other, and they want to see us rob each other. That's what they want to do. So I felt like it was better to call for peace, because the books I study in the Holy Quran, it says that when you take the life of one person, it's like you took the life of humanity. And then it states that when you save the life of one person, it's like you saved the life of humanity. And that's what kept going through my mind. So not only did I make a big call on my life, his children's life, our family life, I made a big call for people who just was homeboys and homegirls in the street. That if I can manage that, to make that decision and manage to stand behind it, I feel like I was doing a good thing. So again, today is my brother's birthday, his heavenly birthday. At the age of 42, he lost his life in the city of New Orleans. Well, the city of Marrero, considered New Orleans, last year in August, around the same time around his birthday. So for me and my family, it is a heavy burden to bear. When it get close to this month, I feel myself drifting away a little bit. So pardon the interruptions, but it's for a good cause, because I always have to make sure that mentally I'm in the right state of mind, and that physically and also emotionally that I'm in the right state of mind. So anyway, believe only half what you see and none of what you hear, unless I said it, because I state facts. I do have YouTube, I do have X, I do have Instagram. Make sure y'all please follow those pages and subscribe where you can. Okay, so losing a loved one, denial. Dealing with denial, the first thing is when you get the phone call. Like when I got the phone call, the first thing that happened to me mentally was I began to deny the fact that it was him. So I started calling family members, and I started asking family members, tell me, is it him? Is it him? And I finally called my little brother, and I asked him, I said, look, man, if you don't mind, if that's him, make sure you call and tell me, because nobody else would tell me. And that's me really dealing with my denial, trying to move on in my life when somebody that I lost been in my life for my entire life. That's the hardest part, is moving on. So I went through that denial stage, feeling like it was unreal, feeling like it couldn't be him. The first thing came to my mind was no, and I didn't want to accept that. It was hard for me to accept that from anybody. So I ended up calling my brother back, my little brother back, probably about an hour later. I ended up calling him back, and I asked him, was it him? And he told me, yeah, it was him. And I just hung up the phone, went, took a shower, cried it out, prayed it out. And when I woke up that morning and opened up my room door, my daughter was there. My blessing, my gift from the Creator. My daughter was at my door looking me in my eyes. So I just grabbed her and picked her up, and hugged my daughter tight. And at that point in time, I realized that I have something to live for. And like a lot of other young men and young women in this world, we have a lot to live for, and we gonna lose people along the way. So I ended up calling for peace. I asked that no retaliation been taken behind his life. Not that he was right or wrong, because a lot of people be feeling like, and it bothers me most of the time when people say, they say it was his time to go. He lived a certain way, so that was gonna happen. I don't believe that. What I believe is, I believe that each one of us have the ability to save another one's life. Like before somebody pass away, especially when it's unexpected, premeditated. When somebody else pass away, somebody know. So, like I said, we have the power to save somebody's life. Like somebody could have talked to the person that passed away. Somebody could have told him something good. And a lot of times people say, you know what, I tried to tell him, but he didn't listen. He still did what he wanted to do. Well, my thoughts is trying to do something is basically not doing it, because a lot of people let people go off the edge like that, and nobody there to help them people, or to correspond when somebody call you looking for help in a certain way. So anyway, denial, dealing with denial, that'd be the first part of grief. We be in denial. We be feeling like, that's not them. We wake up days we wake up looking for these people. We thinking that it's a dream, right? That's part of dealing with the denial when it come down to dealing with our grief and anger. Like I spoke about earlier, anger, that be one of the first things. We come to anger so quick when we lose a loved one. A lot of people don't realize that it, like they say, it hit different when it hit home. We lost a lot of people along the way. Like, you could lose friends, you could lose, people to car accidents and things like that. We lost a lot of people when we was kids, that when we grew up, we forgot all about these people. Yet and still, when it's somebody that you walk with your entire life, when it's somebody that you felt like was going to be in your life your entire life, when you lose
Ladies
that
and
person,
gentlemen,
a lot of times we be quick to anger and frustration kick in. And that's when, people normally want to do something. And most of the time, it be the wrong thing. And I'm not saying everybody make the wrong decision, but a lot of time, anger leads us to doing the wrong thing. And that's a fact. Another thing I spoke about when dealing with grief, and I'm saying this because I experienced this. The next part about it is bargaining. Like, again, we reach for higher powers. We reach for, some of us strong enough to reach within ourselves and have to deal with ourselves. Some of our family and friends, they push us to have to deal with this grief and the stress ourselves. And as we know, everybody deal with grief differently. I made a statement also when I called for peace on my brother life. I made a statement and said that nobody posts pictures of him all over social media, and I got a lot of blowback for that. I just was saying, go ahead, post your pictures, but don't post his pictures every day while he passed, and when he was here, you wasn't posting his pictures. That don't make no sense to me. Like they say, we don't get our flowers. I would like to receive my flowers while I'm here. I would like to give you your flowers while you're here. So bargain and start making deals with yourself and start making deals with your higher power. It's a way to try to gain back your control. That's all it is. When we start the bargaining, it ain't nothing wrong with that part of the process. The bargaining process is one of the main processes that snap you back into reality. Like, you know what? He's gone or she's gone. He's not coming back. She's not coming back. Some of us lost relationships and marriages and felt like that person passed, right? Because it hurt that bad. And the majority of the time, we always say that when somebody pass, somebody leave us, we always feel like, oh, you broke my heart. In all actuality, it breaks your mental. I'm going to tell you how. Okay, the next part of it is depression. We start to go through them tough times. We get depressed. We don't want to eat. We don't want to go to work. We don't want to talk to nobody. We don't want to be around nobody. We don't want to be bothered. We don't answer our phone. We don't want to even talk to our children. Sometimes we get glued to the bed or glued to the sofa or find ourselves doing things that we wouldn't normally do on a regular, in a right frame of mind. So that's a broken mind. Like they say, it's like they broke your heart. Your heart don't break. How you doing? Your heart don't break. It's not your heart that break. It's your mind that break. And we start to have mental breakdowns. That's why they call it mental breakdown, because that part of your life is gone. Like, you'll never see that person again. You'll never be with that person again. So you start to fall into that depression stage. And that's the process. And that's that. Okay, let's say this. Depression is like you begin to process everything. Okay, we went through the denial stage. What else we say? We went through the denial stage. We're at the point to where now we're in a depression stage. And when you're depressed, you don't want to be around nobody. You don't want to talk to nobody. That voice on the inside of you start to talk. That's when you start breaking down. You start to processing everything. And again, I lost my brother in 2020. So it's been 5 years now. And I'm still in that process of processing exactly how to move on in my life. Not processing what happened, who did it, why they did it, who knew. These questions, it runs through our mind often, right? Who knew, who did it, who said what, who did this. It runs through our mind. So that's the process. Now, that's the immediate process, right? And then the after process, when you start to try to move on, realize that you have to move on in your life. That process is basically a depression process. You ain't around nobody. You're not hearing nothing from nobody. You start to call on your Lord. You start to go to your religious place of worship. You start to listen to your religious music a little more. You start to read your Bible, your Quran, your whatever. You start to read things to try to help you get through the process. We can change the way we deal with the loss, but we can't change the loss. And that's the hard, cold, hard facts that we have to deal with. We can change the way we deal with the loss, but we can't change the loss itself. That's a good way to put it. We have to learn how to treasure the memories without letting them hold us back